the Ravens start making some moves. Will it be enough for the Ravens as they try to get back in it?
Will the Ravens avoid that 1-5 start with these new additions? How well will they make an impact?
And the Ravens need to save their season in week number 6. Can they do that? Will Lamar Jackson even play in this game? Who are they getting back healthy? Talk about all that and more coming up on the Locked On Ravens Squad Show.
Rise and shine. It's the Ravens Squad. Everything Baltimore Ravens every week. Covering all the big hits and game-changing plays from the heart of Charm City. The way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. Flock together and squad up. The Ravens Squad Show starts now.
What's going on, Ravens flock? Welcome to another edition of the Ravens Squad Show. I am your host, Sam Njoku, joined as always with Kevin Oestreicher and Kadri Ismail. We are here a few days removed from a big-time loss for the Ravens. The Ravens are now starting the season 1-4. The potential of a 1-5 starts has a lot of Ravens fans a little queasy, including myself, but hopefully the Ravens do what they have to do to get the job done in this contest upcoming. In this show, we'll talk all about what has gone on since the Ravens lost to the who did they lose to? The Houston Texans. We'll talk about what happens if the Ravens lose their upcoming matchup, and we'll get predictions down for this Ravens versus LA Rams matchup that has a lot of people talking. So we'll let you know this episode is, in fact, brought to you by FanDuel right now. New customer can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. But I'll be remiss if we didn't start with this huge move that the Ravens made. Just yesterday, the Ravens trade Odafe Oweh. Big-time pass rusher for the Ravens. In name, double-digit sacks last season. Nothing going so far, and EDC pulls the trigger and sends it over to the LA Chargers. Kevin, I'll start with you. What is your initial thought process with this move and what it means for the Ravens moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, it's a big move. And one that, again, like you and I talked about this for this morning show we did for Locked On Ravens, where, you know, he's a guy that has all the athletic traits you could want. The Ravens took a swing on that athletic upside in the first round of the draft in 2021, but he just never really got it going. I mean, again, it seems like the play that everybody remembers from his career in Baltimore was in his second ever game against the Chiefs. And then after that, you know, we didn't really see consistency from him. So, you know, it's difficult because the Ravens need pass rushers and they traded away a pass rusher. The problem is that Oweh was practically invisible on the field this season, only 10 tackles on the year, didn't have a sack. He was generating a little bit of pressure, and he actually slots in now on a Chargers team that can't generate any of it. He's actually their second highest pressure win rate guy, I think, right now on their team. So it was a situation where we all talked about how someone had to answer for what happened on Sunday against Houston. And while I didn't necessarily expect it to be a player, at least one of Oweh's caliber, or at least who has the potential that Oweh does, coming off a double-digit sack season, clearly the Ravens weren't going to bring him back. That's the big thing I keep coming back to. He wasn't even going to come back if he had a good year because he probably priced himself out of Baltimore. So the Ravens just wanted to get, I guess, any value they could for him. And now we're here talking about other players that have to step up in his place.
I think it's interesting because for Odafe, again, it's like, what have you done for me lately, league? And I'm not saying that he didn't do anything, of course, what you just said, Kevin, and all the pressures and all that, but pressure is not enough when you look at the way in which they are going about playing defense. This Ravens defense has to be a tenacious, aggressive, dictate to the offense style of defense. You weren't getting off the field, and because you weren't getting off the field, that right there spelled trouble for this Ravens defense because teams were marching up and down the football field. CJ Stroud is still sitting there like, man, that was the easiest game I've ever had. I think we need to go ahead and play Baltimore again and again and again and again. So bottom line, he was balling, and not in a good way when you're talking about the Ravens being 1-4. So if you want to say it's a blame and got to get rid of a guy, fine. His contract was his contract. He clearly is a first-round guy who, Jim Harbaugh was equating him to Khalil Mack, and I'm like, bro, you lost your mind. But I think that's kind of like the glass half full, trying to see what he can do. But yeah, fresh start. You don't have to pay him salary cap wise. I know people geek out over little stuff like that as far as the salary cap and his value. And I don't necessarily get caught up in that. I get frustrated with it because I'm like, look, if we're talking about the now, all the salary cap and all the other things will clear itself out. The thing that I am looking at is the fact that the now does free up some of his money. So you better go get some more people. The five fifth round picks, that's cool. But we don't care about fifth round picks. We want guys that can come in and play and be impact players, not developmental players. What is the point of being a developmental player when you got a now ready quarterback to win you a Super Bowl? You need a supporting offense, defense, and special teams to go ahead and accomplish the task.
I agree completely. That's 100% where I'm at with it. And I think that the Ravens doing this is kind of twofold. Yes, you offload a talent that's not going to be the long-term answer at pass rusher, but now you kind of have a hole at pass rusher. The Ravens now have Calvinoy, they have Tavius Robinson, and they have David Ojabo as your three pass rushers. Do you see a move coming up, Q, in the next couple of weeks where they have to address that? Because Odafe Oweh, yes, wasn't getting any penetration going, but pass rush is still the issue. It hasn't been solved here, even with the acquisition of the safety out of LA. What are your thoughts about the Ravens possibly getting somebody in to come and compete?
I don't know if it's about getting someone in as a dominant pass rusher. Yannick and I'm gonna butcher his last name. So Yannick Ngakoue, he literally was tweeting, hey. I mean, pass rusher, bruh, But the problem was when he was here as well, because he got up there in age, he was one of those guys that was, I'm there, I couldn't finish. We don't need another almost type of a guy. We need a finisher. We need a guy who's going to get to the quarterback in the first quarter, let him know he's there. But we also need a finisher in that fourth quarter. You can't have a guy that, no. We need a guy that can finish. So one of the things that is glaring is their lack of a defensive lineman as far as containing the run. The young guys look just that young. And so there are some teams that aren't really doing well, whether it be Simmons, whether it be Quentin Williams. I know he got a huge contract from the Jets, but so what? Like, if you can work out a deal with all those fifth round picks, mother of pearl, that would be great. You need a D lineman that's a disruptor. Right now, it don't matter if you have, Mike Green and Tavius Robinson and KVN. I think the fact that you get that D line straightened out, it's going to help those guys out. The safety element of it all, and just looking at them move and how they look fluid, they look the part. So that's good, that's sound, that's solid. But I think the bigger picture is, can they be strong in coverage? Because right now this Ravens team is so soft in coverage that guys are just wide open. So you'll say, well, what does that have to do with, rush in or D lineman? Everything. When you have a guy that is covering the receiver and messing up the timing, then it helps get to the quarterback. When you can get to the quarterback, it helps on the other end of things too. But you also need somebody who's aggressive and can come up and stop the run, or the other team's offensive coordinator is like, I ain't throwing nothing because it's 3rd and 1 again. And so we just gonna keep running. I think Nick Chubb is still running. Matter of fact, Nick Chubb, Nick, look at Nick. Ooh.
Man.
Ain't doing all this running anymore. We playing against the Ravens. Oh, I revitalized my legs. I couldn't run before, but I can run right now. I'm feeling really good. So you need to go ahead and stop the run. You need your big boys up front. Let's go ahead and see who we can find and stop the run and allow those safeties to do what they're supposed to do.
Yeah, that's the thing with this defense, right? It's if you're a struggling offense, come on down to Baltimore and they'll get you right. That's what their mindset and mantra is right now, and that's not the mindset and mantra that going into the season anybody expected. Where again, it's I'll go through the Rolodex of what I've been saying. It's not that they're losing; it's how they're losing. They've turned from one of the perennial Super Bowl contenders and one of the laughing stocks of the league, like all that stuff, and it just gets worse. Like we talk about how, man, it can't get worse after this, right? And then it does. And we're just like, wow, we thought we hit rock bottom. Nope, we're still going down and down and down. So I think, yes, the next step for them is to bring in a pass rusher. But you mentioned with guys like Ngakoue and some other guys that are available in the free agent market, maybe a lesser trade. Like those to me aren't needle moving moves. I mean, the thing they need to do is bring in a needle mover, because I don't know how much, like a guy you trade and you give away like 2 of those 5th rounders, let's say, how much is that guy going to help you? Now, maybe you can go pry Calais Campbell from Arizona, although I doubt it, because I know that's probably where he wants to be right now. But, to me, it has to be a big move, and that is going to require them to run away from what their organizational philosophy has been over the course of everything that they've known. Them trading a second for Roquan Smith was like shocking to everyone. Like they never do something like that. And I get that you need draft picks, especially when you're in a Lamar Jackson led era with his contract. You need to get guys on rookie deals that can help you out and give you really solid production on rookie deals. But at the end of the day, there's still a lot of roster moves that, I think Baltimore needs to make. And it all starts up front, both defensively and also offensively too. If they can get an offensive lineman, and the problem with offensive linemen is that everybody needs them and no one wants to trade them. So, it's kind of hard to make that move in season, but a D lineman, I think that's where they should go.
Looks like John Parsons, he's right on point with us, talking about what the Ravens going to pay Gilman, which is about 2.5 and change. I just think that, Brian McFarland has nailed it. Like there's room to, as Kevin is saying, seek out and look for people as far as contracts and making it a scenario where they can come in, not going to really kill your team, but they'll come in and be strong contributors to really what is so far a wreck of a defense. I saw, Kevin, that you listed the statistics of the defense up on X, and it's so bad. Like
awful.
I think offensive line wise, like, man, they need to just work out a ton of dudes and see who can like come in and fit. But defensively, we need to see them trade for some big stud dude.
I agree with you guys completely. It needs to happen because it's not going to be an easy fix. I know the Ravens, they got rid of Odafe Oweh, but they also got 2 guys who we'll talk about in the next segment of the show, Gilman and Gardner Johnson. They need some dogs in the middle of that defense to stop the run, stop the bleed, and stop, as you mentioned in the post-game show earlier, they get into second and short, third and short too often. Very difficult to combat that as a defense. They need somebody that's going to be able to stop the run on first down, and that has to happen via trade unless they find a diamond in the rough out there somewhere. Perhaps, potentially, they can get it done, but I just don't see it happening without them making a big move. I'm sure Eric Decosta is going to be working. John Harbaugh kind of alluded to that fact that Eric Decosta is not done. People are saying Max Crosby, maybe another Micah Parsons. Somewhere. It's not going to be somebody like that, but something will need to be done to shore up this defense because it's not looking good through the first 5 weeks, as Kevin's tweet mentioned. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll touch a little bit more on the other acquisitions that the Ravens have made outside of the Odafe Oweh trade when we come back here on the Ravens Squad Show. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel has an offer you don't want to miss right now. New customers bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5, And if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I love how FanDuel gives me so many ways to play. I've built parlays, tried player props, and even followed the live lines during games. It makes watching football even more exciting when you got a little something riding on the action. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. All right, we're back here at the Ravens Squad Show. We are back talking Ravens football. Ravens do fall to the Houston Texans, and now they have a big-time matchup against the LA Rams before heading into a bye. Ravens got to do something. We already saw kind of the wheels in motion with the Odafe Oweh trade. We didn't just lose Odafe Oweh. We gained a piece. Gilman comes in from the LA Chargers safety, and another safety, CJ Gardner-Johnson, comes in via free agency. He's currently on the practice squad. He's been talked about being ramped up before getting to the action, but it looks like Gilman's going to be a go immediately. What is your thought process, Kevin? I'll start with you about two additional safeties being added on. Kyle Hamilton, if people don't know, did return to practice, so the health isn't a concern with the safety group. It looks like they're trying to pour in some safety action. That may mean more safeties on the field at once. It may mean that they're not really trusting Ruben Lowry to be a backup. What are your thoughts, Kevin?
Yeah, I mean, I think, in my opinion, that there's a lot that it could mean. I mean, I think the Ravens want to try to redefine Kyle Hamilton's role right now, where you want to get him moved back up into the box. And I think that these guys give you that. I think that they're two players that can free a lot of what Kyle Hamilton does, especially at the line, where the Ravens right now, the stats I put out and everything we've seen on tape, they can't stop anything. They can't stop the run. They can't stop the pass. They can't stop teams from scoring. They can't stop teams on third down, fourth down, red. Like, everything is just awful. So to me, I think with what you have right now, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson or CJ Gardner-Johnson can fill in a lot of different areas and roles where you can put him in the slot. You can put him in the deeper part of the field. I mean, look, he had 6 interceptions back in both 2024 last year when he helped Philly win the Super Bowl, and his first year in Philly, he had 6 interceptions too. So the Ravens need some of that ball hawk ability. I'll spoil this morning's episode with Q. Q doesn't care about the attitude. Q doesn't care about CJ Gardner-Johnson's attitude. He doesn't care about all that. And I agree with you, Q. If you want to do all that stuff, and if you're Jaire Alexander and you're in that area where you have a position to go and actually make we got to rile these guys up, we got to get fire, just don't let them score. Just don't let them score. I agree with you there. But hey, I do think the attitude is a good thing. I do think, even if it's just to get guys hyped, just get guys hyped up, right? Get guys motivated for the game. So, because I'm with you in a lot of different scenarios where it's like, if you don't want guys to celebrate, don't let them score. That's 100% correct. But I do think that Gilman, he's not like the greatest player in the world. He's also not the worst player in the world. I think he's a middling safety that can come in and run support, be good there. I know there are some inconsistencies in coverage, but I think, again, you're bringing in two different skill sets, and it's just better than what they have right now. I mean, Hamilton hopefully will come back this week, and again, that can begin the moving around process. But we saw, we've talked about, so many guys last week just not being in the right position, unfortunately. And look, part of it is just, it's a really unfair position to put rookies and inexperienced players in. For example, TJ Tampa was someone that we were all expecting to kind of have an easy role this year. He can ease himself into some NFL action. Didn't play a lot last season. Get him some reps. And all of a sudden, game 5, all right, go out there and play a bajillion snaps. And, here's your welcome to the NFL moment. So I think that Gilman and Gardner-Johnson, with their experience, will be really helpful, because that's just what the Ravens need right now. And honestly, it can't get any worse. So got to try some stuff out.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm a TJ Tampa guy. Don't get me wrong. I think that what he's done is phenomenal. But I will also say, bigger picture wise, nah, bro, you got you in the league, everybody in the league. This, time for you to stand up and show out. And this is an opportunity for him. And I get what you're saying, Kevin, as far as experience. But no, no, this is your chance to show us what you can do. Don't be that guy that is oh, gosh, I gave it my best. Nah, go out there and show up. I think Malaki Starks, is there a scenario where we would like to see him have more experience and all that? Yes. And it hurts that he hasn't really made any impacting plays, to be perfectly honest with you. So I think that's why you have more safeties, and they're recognizing that they need it. And also the fact that Kyle Hamilton is injured. And I'm curious because, again, your biggest defensive personnel grouping is big nickel.
Yep.
Okay, so you're getting hurt at those safety positions, then who are you putting in there? Especially if Kyle is banged up and we don't know to the severity of his injury. But that being said, again, I think TJ Tampa needs to play better, step up the whole 9 yards. That's why you're getting paid. But also Nate Wiggins, you're going up against Nico Collins. You're a first-round draft choice, and you did your thing well enough last year. You can't have inside leverage on an inside route and get beat for a touchdown.
That's a good point, and it'll be very interesting to see what the Ravens do with that. Is this a case of they're not trusting Malaki Starks right away? Could be. It's going to be very interesting. I didn't even think about that. It's a good point. I just want to make note that the injury report did get released a few minutes ago, and Kyle Hamilton obviously practiced, but he was limited with a groin injury. Rosengarten was limited with a knee injury. Joseph Noteboom was limited with an ankle injury, and Ronnie Stanley was limited with an ankle injury. So we maybe seen Vincent come on the field in a little bit. I'm not sure how limited they'll be.
They're putting you on the field, Sam. You better be ready. They're putting you on the field.
I got to be ready to go. Zay Flowers was limited with a shoulder injury too, so it could be.
All three of us are getting on the field. Then Q, you better lace them back up.
Lace them back up.
Pull that jersey off the wall. You're coming out retired.
I'll be ready. Come on now.
Oh my gosh, it is crazy nonstop with the injuries. But let's talk about the injuries because
for extra points.
Oh, there you go. And Steve Loop's out here to so yeah, your son needs a help holder, extra holder. Get it going. Nick Moore, you guys make it happen. But yeah, injuries have been a concern for this team. Opposing fans and media pundits out there not giving that excuse for the Ravens. Where do you stand, Q, with the injuries with this team? Obviously, there's some heavy names out currently for the Ravens, but do you put that all on the injuries for the Ravens struggles, or is it a mixture of both?
Let's see. The Bills, they are doing well without their stud defensive tackle who stripped the ball. What's homeboy's name again? Stripped the ball from
Ed Oliver.
Ed Oliver.
Ed Oliver, thank you. If Ed Oliver, the stud that he is, and the Bills are doing well, no. Let's see. Do we look at this team as now ready, had all that depth from last year's draft class, all the guys from this draft class? No. Y'all need to figure that out now. And that's why the trades are coming about. So the injuries, I get it. There is something to be said about Kyle Hamilton not being at full strength. He is stud. He's an alpha. That's why they paid him what they paid him, and I'm sure he is happy he got paid. But from a bigger picture standpoint, Fa'alele, Rosengarten, Voorhees, those are guys that I think when you look at the bigger picture have really failed this offense. And that offensive line and Ryan Stanley getting hurt is untimely. But that's, in my mind, where I'm seeing everything. Jim Harbaugh said it a few years back at the Combine. When you talk about getting offensive linemen and why that's the most important position in football. Here's why. Because you're looking at the opportunity to dictate the game without the ball. If you run the ball effectively, that means you're dominating the defensive line. So that means you're burning time off the clock. You possess the ball.
Nope. You. Hello?
There.
Okay.
When you are sitting, see, my computer is trying to be like Daniel Fa'alele.
Oh, man.
When you are sitting there and you are sitting there trying to dominate the bigger thing, which is a receiver, quarterback can't throw the ball down the field if it's man-to-man, and that offensive line, the people are coming off their end and getting to your quarterback. if you protect the quarterback, now all of a sudden you can do what you want to do. Take a note at the Monday night game where Trevor Lawrence and them beat up Kansas City Chiefs. So my point is that defensively, you're on the sideline resting if you got a good offensive line. So if I'm rested, when I go out there, I'm ready to go. I'm fresh. Offensive line helps. I think that the way in which the offensive line was formulated in those Greg Roman years and even
Oh, he's gone again. He's gone again.
I mean, Daniel Falele, the ghost of him is coming out. He's like, no, Q, help me. Like, why? Oh, I missed the double team block again. But the bottom line is you need a really good offensive line. And right now, that's the thing that really bugs me with the Ravens is not necessarily the injuries.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's tough all the way around right now where I think, guys aren't, and you talk about it all the time, like nobody's 100% at this point, nobody's 100%. Once the season really begins, it's just a matter of can you weather through injury storms, and the Ravens have been historically healthy over the last 2 seasons. And, like they got really lucky the past 2 years. And we know this Ravens team has had a wide array of years where injuries have just derailed years. And you would hate for this one to be another one. But I'm not using it as an excuse. I mean, yeah, you mentioned Buffalo and other teams, San Francisco, again, like they beat the Rams last week and they had like their entire receiver group out and Brock Purdy wasn't there. And, like it had its context, right? I mean, look, the Bengals are dealing with it with Joe Burrow and now they got the real Joe Cool in there. So, Joe Flacco is officially going to take his name back from Joe Burrow in Cincinnati. And, by the way, side note on Joe Flacco, he is one team away from completing the AFC North Gauntlet.
Mm-hmm.
We're not letting that happen. Joe Flacco, this has to be it. No Pittsburgh. I can live. I don't love it, but I can live with Cleveland. I can live with Cincinnati. I couldn't do it if Joe was in a Steelers uniform. I couldn't do it. Yeah,
I would be heated if Joe Flacco played for the Pittsburgh Steelers. It would be disgusting to watch. I'm not even happy about the Bengals and the Browns. I give them a line. I give the Browns a line because they're a disaster. They need every help they can get. Joe Flacco loves to be a charity case. Let's give those Browns team, let's give them something to cheer for. But the Bengals, yuck. I don't like it. But we'll see what happens. We will see what happens. I think he might be coming back here in a second. He's still working on it here, so I'll give him a little bit more time to get in. But yeah, I think that the offensive line is a huge concern for me as well. Eric Decosta, as much as I love the guy, did a very poor job with this, the guard position. They went very cheap trying to fill the guard roles. They need to get more athletic guards, especially the type of offense they like to play. So I'm hoping that the Ravens do something here with the offensive line, maybe even this week. I mean, we could be seeing some makeshifting. John Harbaugh touched on potentially changes coming our way with it. So let's see Q back in. Q, I still can't see you on camera.
Oh yeah, now there's just no picture at all. The flattering picture of you just froze, and now there's nothing. Now it's just audio, and that's like a phone call.
Yeah.
Wow, that's weird because I see myself normal, and I'm just straight up chilling. And all right, fellas. Yeah, I guess okay. All right.
I'm okay like this. I'm okay with it. Yeah. I mean, you can go ahead and refresh.
I mean, I see my boy Dread.
Yeah, they're frying you a little bit in the chat, Q. I'm not gonna lie.
They're going after you a little bit.
They're saying cricket phone and
so funny.
I feel like I'm in, but I don't know why it's not showing me.
Well, someone said that your Wi-Fi needs you to do some work your missile training magic. You got to get it right. Yeah,
gotta get the missile training right.
Wi-Fi right.
Well, I feel good. I feel like this is good. Wow, this is weird.
Yeah. It is weird. We're going to take a quick break while we do it. Hopefully it comes back on. But when we come back, we're going to talk about what happens if the Ravens were to lose to the Rams. We're not going to talk about predictions yet, but let's just talk about if, for some strange, crazy reason, Matthew Stafford comes into Baltimore and beats the Baltimore Ravens in Baltimore. Crazy, not going to happen, but we'll talk about what could happen with this team if it does here next on the Ravens Squad Show.
I'm Cody Rourke from Locked On Broncos, and this episode is brought to you by Peloton. Peloton is shaping the future of fitness with the brand new Peloton Cross-Training Tread Plus, powered by Peloton IQ. This is Peloton's most advanced equipment yet, giving you real-time guidance and endless ways to move, whether you're running, lifting, or you're cross-training with your favorite instructors like Alex Toussaint. It's training reimagined to make your workout more personal. Peloton is built for breakthroughs with features that help you plan, stay motivated, and hit peak performance. You can let yourself run, lift, flex, and go while Peloton handles all the rest. Plus, Peloton IQ provides real-time strength coaching, tracking your progress and suggesting weights that challenge you so you can get stronger. Plus, the new movement tracking camera, it counts your reps and corrects your form in real time, making sure every rep is safer and smarter. So let yourself run, lift, flex, push, and go. Explore the new Peloton Cross-Training Tread Plus at onepeloton.com.
We're back here, the Raven Squad show. Kevin Oestreicher, Kadri Ismail is not showing his face right now, but that's okay. And Sam and Joku over here talking Raven Squad football. The Ravens getting ready for a big-time matchup against the LA Rams. Listen, it's going to be tough against the LA Rams. We know that, and we'll touch on why it's going to be that way. But let's talk about the future. Let's talk about what happens if this team falls to 1-5. I can't imagine it coming into this season, but it is a threat to happen. Where do you see this team at, Kevin? What could possibly go down, considering that next week is the bye week? Could we see a firing? Could we see some more trades? Could we see an implosion in the locker room? What is your thought process as we enter this pivotal game in week 6?
Yeah, it feels like I've been saying that these games are must win for the last 3 weeks, and it's for all different reasons. I mean, week 4 against the Chiefs, I said that was must win for the vibes, not like their season's over, but you got to win it for the vibes because, man, what would happen if they fall to 1-3? Man, that'd be terrible. They were 1-2. I'm thinking, man, the vibes are bad. 1-3, yeah, I didn't want to know, and unfortunately we do. And then last week against Houston, I was saying, all right, well, man, you really can't fall to 1-4. You're really playing with fire if you do that. And then look where we are now at 1-4. 1-5 heading into a bye week. I think that would be it for Zach Orr personally. And what they honestly might be doing right now is just waiting for the bye, because the bye week gives you time to just it's the break of the season for a team. So you're allowed to go in there and kind of make your changes and not have the stress of having to prepare for an opponent that same week. I think that is the natural breaking point. And actually, I went on with Ken McCusick of Film Study, and we talked about the Texans and the Ravens that game. We did the Ravens defense, which of course, yeah, that was lot. Ken and I always have great conversations, but of course, I wish we were talking about a better defense than we did. But Ken essentially framed it as, this is 4th and 8 for Zach Orr right now. He has to show something, and if he doesn't, then he's turning the ball over on downs, and that ends up resulting, in my opinion, in his job. And the 1-for-1 for me would be Chuck Pagano. But, we look, and Q mentioned the stats that, and we've mentioned it. I mean, I'll read them out here. And again, I always joke about it, but you might want to cover your ears, because right now the Ravens are 29th in rushing yards allowed. They're 30th in rushing touchdowns allowed. They're 31st in passing yards allowed, 31st in total yards allowed, 32nd in passing touchdowns allowed, 32nd in first downs allowed, 32nd in total points allowed. They're not forcing turnovers. They're not getting to the quarterback. They're not sacking the court. Like, they can't do anything right. And, I will say, coordinators before, not just the Ravens, but other coordinators across the league have been fired for less. I'll say that. Coordinators have been fired for less. And I truly just believe that the Ravens are waiting for the bye week. Like, even if they lose the game, like 30-16, and that'd be a vast improvement from what we've seen from this defense over the last handful of weeks. Even if it's 30-16, I still think Zach Orr gets fired. I mean, it would have to be like statement, impressive, like hold the Rams under 10 points. You know what, Steve? They're not 32nd in every category. they're not 32nd in every category. There's always a chance. And look, I will say this too, because the Ravens have the 8th easiest strength of schedule from now until the end of the season. They played a lot of hard. I think actually they were the first team in NFL history to play 3 teams that had 13 or more wins in the first month of their season. I think that's correct. I think that's what I saw. And look, it was a rough gauntlet. It's not that they're losing. It's how they're losing. And the messaging, You just hope it's getting through to the guys. And that seems to be, and Kyle Van Noy clarified his comments. Derrick Henry made it clear it's not the issue. So, I mean, injuries take tolls on every team, but your schedule does open up. There's like a window here where, yes, there's still a long way to go. You still got to play the games. Teams have gone on runs. I think the Colts, if I remember, started 1-4, 1-5, either last year or a couple of years ago. I can't remember the year, but they made the playoffs doing that. So teams have done it, but they just have to it's no longer like you can take little steps forward. You got to take a huge leap here if you want to save this season, because again, 1-5 entering the bye week is a place you just don't want to be.
The thing is, can you guys at least hear me? Or
yeah,
okay.
Audio's cool. Yeah, as long as we can hear you, you're all good.
Yeah, see, that's what's troubling, because I'm about to pick my.
Well, now you cut out again.
What are you about to pick, Kate?
Yeah, I know.
Now you
Doesn't make
cut
any
out.
sense. I am sitting here, but the point I was going to make was that you're talking about the AFC North, that you've already got one game at least on your belt with Cleveland, and you got the rest of the AFC North right in front of you. So from a playoff aspect, the road goes through the division. Like, if you can win your division, then sure, go ahead and get into the playoffs. I don't know if they're going to be good enough once they get into the playoffs to advance, but I mean, that's what it is. And I think that's the biggest thing. Like, in the bigger picture of it all, the Ravens, yes, they are looking at a Rams team that is it's a phenomenal offense. Like, they move the ball incredibly.
No, Q. Hello.
Yeah, I'm right here. You can hear me.
Yeah. You're cutting out. Someone said. I see. Dre said that your Wi-Fi needs to go on IR. So they need to get on an injury report.
Like. That's what it feels like right now. My Wi-Fi is just tripping.
Yeah.
Technology is my enemy too. I've been there.
I'm toughing it out. They're saying
that's all you can do.
That's all you gotta do.
The show goes on. The show goes on. Yeah.
Yeah, you make a good point, Keith.
Definitely.
You make a good point.
But the point, the bottom line is this: is that you're looking at the Rams that are loaded and they are ready to come into M&T Bank Stadium. And if they, the Ravens, can't get it done, it should spell the end for Zach Orr. That's the bottom line.
Yeah, I agree with it completely. I'll be interested to see if it happens, though, because firing Zach Orr tells the world that John Harbaugh was wrong about the hiring. He was wrong to, I mean, obviously you want to stand up for your coaches, but to double down on Zach Orr's performance through the first 6 weeks of this season is also something that, John Harbaugh will need to answer for as well. So, I mean, I know Harbaugh's hoping for the best with this. I think that's probably why they made that trade, and I'm sure they're going to try and play a lot more 3 safety looks in this contest. So we'll see. But again, Matthew Stafford and Puka Nacua coming here, 50 catches. First player to ever have 50 catches through the first 5 games of the season. That is going to be something that the Ravens are going to have to pin their eyes on for sure. Maybe doubling Puka. But then you got Devontae Adams. That guy's good too. And you got to find a way to Kyron Williams, a guy that, the Ravens haven't had any success stopping the runs. Got to do it with Kyron Williams as well. So again, this is going to be a very tough task for the Ravens on defense. The defensive front of the Rams are no slouches either. Let's talk about the defensive front of the Rams, because they're going to be going up against not Lamar Jackson, but probably Cooper Rush, maybe Tyler Huntley. Where do you see this going? Do you think they stick with Cooper Rush, Kevin, or is there a shot for Snoop to come back and potentially save the day?
I think they have to go with Cooper. I mean, they paid him a ton of money for being a backup, and if you were to just kind of toss him aside after a game, that'd be a pretty big failure. Is he the right man to actually go and lead this team to a win? Would Tyler's skill set be better for the offense? I mean, they're all really valid questions. I see you. I see that nod. You're saying yes, please. But I mean, again, like, and this is kind of why when they signed him initially, and I know you and I have talked about this, I mean, the three of us have obviously talked about it before on the squad show, where it's like the skill set is an interesting choice. I don't mind them going out and shelling out a little more money for a better backup. Like, I'm totally on board with that. But it's just a lot because we saw against the Texans, who their run defense was like 20th in the league. Derrick Henry, we said, all right, run with Derrick Henry, run with Keaton Mitchell. And part of it was the offensive line just couldn't get any push whatsoever, and they couldn't get out into space into the second level, and it was all like bad. But you lose the threat that Lamar Jackson brings you, and obviously no backup is going to be able to replicate what Lamar does, but at least having like the option game and at least the threat of the quarterback running the ball. That's what the Ravens predicate themselves on some of these plays. And it's what makes the 1-2 punch of Lamar and Derrick Henry so good. But again, they paid Cooper Rush $12 million. And so for as much as I think they should try it out with Tyler Huntley or see if it would work, first of all, we've seen what it is with Tyler Huntley, and it's still a low floor offense with a low ceiling too. The problem is, can the Ravens get to 20 points offensively with either of those guys? I think that's on their best day, I think that's what the Ravens defense can give up. Like, minimum right now is 20 points. If the Ravens,
a lot.
Yeah, I know, right? If the offense can hold, or if the defense can hold the Rams offense at 20 points, spoiler alert, I don't think that's going to happen. But if they can the offense even get there? Because that's the conversation I was having last week of like, okay, Lamar Jackson plays in that Texans game. That offense goes nuclear and puts up 40 points, let's say. Well, the defense still gave up 44. It wouldn't have mattered. So it's the same thing this time around. I don't know. Like, I feel like Tyler could be a good option. I think what we'll see is we might see Tyler plays. Maybe he won't start the game, but we'll see him involved in this game with some packages. That's what I'll probably say here.
Yeah, I think that's where I'm at with you. I think they're going to have some packages in place because Tyler Huntley, he'll be able to kind of open those running lanes on the inside for Derrick Henry, something that he didn't really have with Cooper Rush in there. And look, the front of the Texans is dominant, kind of similar to what we're kind of see here with the Rams. I don't think they have the edge rushers that the Texans do, but they still have enough to cause some damage and focus in on Derrick Henry without alleviating too much in the passing game. So I think putting Tyler Huntley in there for a couple of snaps, putting Keaton Mitchell in there for a couple of snaps, his misdirection ability will help pay dividends for Derrick Henry to get things going. And of course, the guards have to play better. Most notably, I know people are talking about Falele, but Voorhees struggled in that contest against
everybody.
The Texans. Yep. I mean, everybody was bad in that game. I think Rosengarten was the best of the bunch, but Voorhees in that contest was very bad. The polls, I think, I actually got on with Kemi Kuzik as well, and he said that he connected in one of 5 of his pulls, and the Ravens game is pulling guards and making things happen. So if you're only successful 20% of the time, that's not giving your quarterback, who's a backup, who doesn't have the skill set of your star QB Lamar Jackson, a lot of success. So the Ravens will need to do their due diligence in this contest, find whatever means necessary to get the job done. Maybe that means plugging in Tyler Huntley. Maybe that means pulling Voorhees or pulling Falele, entering in a Ben Cleveland, entering in maybe Vincent comes in and guard or something. I don't know.
Corey Bullock.
Corey Bullock can play guard. Do whatever it takes to get the win here, because when Lamar Jackson comes back, he's going to be more happy with the 2-4 team than a 1-5 team. A 1-5 team, you are grasping at straws. I'm not saying the Ravens can't do it. The schedule does get soft, but a case can be made that the Ravens are soft right now with the 1-5 start. So got to get it done. I mean, it's going to be tough, way harder than it was against the Texans, but got to find a way to get it done. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll talk about predictions. What is going to happen in this contest? Talking about all these Hyper Bowls, let's get predictions down. Let's get our crystal balls and find out what is actually going to happen here. We'll touch on it next here on the Raven Squad Show. Ravens flock, we are back here at the Raven Squad Show. Again, don't forget we are here twice a week, once during the post-game show after every Ravens game, and once every Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time, getting you some Ravens news, Locked On Ravens podcast as well, every single day, Monday through Friday, Saturdays and Sundays apparently recently. So if you want Ravens news and you don't know where to get it, don't want to click on the ESPN to see pundits that don't know what they're talking about with Ravens football, go on to the Locked On Ravens podcast. Get your Ravens news source from Kevin. He will not let you down, and we won't let you down here at the Ravens Squad Show. Be sure to like and subscribe if you're over at YouTube. And if you're listening, wherever you get your podcast, be sure to give us 5 stars, give a comment, help the show out. Make sure you tell other Ravens fans about the show. We're here talking football 24/7 here on the Locked On Ravens Network. Ravens have a game against the LA Rams. I mean, we see NFC contenders come into town. Doesn't matter if they're the Philadelphia Eagles or if they're the New York Giants. We knew that the Ravens had a good shot to win because the NFC just doesn't win against the Baltimore Ravens. That has been thrown out of the window. I don't care how high you are in your house, whether you're in a 30-story building or if you're in a 2-story house, you're throwing that thing out the window. The Ravens do not have the success going against NFC teams recently, and this may not be any different considering how they fared against the Houston Texans. Matthew Stafford is not a joke to be messed with. The Ravens have had success against Matthew Stafford. Who can forget the punt return that Tylan Wallace had through the sideline? I mean, one of the most magical experiences we saw. What we thought was going to be capped with the Super Bowl wasn't, but the Rams definitely have something to prove here in this contest. They look really good. We talked about Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams, Matthew Stafford, Kyren Williams. What is your overall thought process? Let's start with the offense. How do you think the offense will fare against this Rams defense?
Yeah, I mean, well, right now for the Rams, they're a team, first of all, that's going to come into Baltimore extremely angry after what happened to them on Thursday night against the 49ers. I mean, they're going to go in there and come into Baltimore with a vengeance to try and get right, because I know that they felt like they should have won that game. Sean McVay obviously took responsibility. Kyren Williams had the big fumble towards the goal line, but the Rams defense right now, despite how they looked against the 49ers, which was honestly kind of out of character for them, they've been really good this season. Like all across the board, they're the 3rd best rushing defense in the NFL. They're the 9th best passing defense in the NFL. So top 10 in both of those categories. They're also a top 10 defense in terms of 3rd down conversion percentage and red zone conversion percentage. So look, you have guys like Jared Verse and Byron Young and a lot of guys on that front, like Brandon Fisk, they have a lot of guys that can make impact plays. It's not the big names like when Aaron Donald was there or Jalen Ramsey or like some of those. Oh, hey, I know that guy. I think that a lot of the players on the Rams defense are pretty underrated. Like, you're not going to, I don't know how many people know about a Cameron Curl who is really good for them. Kobe Turner's been good on the D line for them. I mean, that they have a lot of guys that can step up and make impacts for them. And especially even when you look at like Darius Williams and Killa Witherspoon, like those guys who you maybe your name familiar. I think Jared Verse is probably the most recognizable name, but that doesn't mean their defense is not good. So for a Ravens offense right now that really struggled to run the ball against the Houston front that was middling, against the Ravens offense that really couldn't pass the ball, and the Rams defense is top 10 there too, it's going to be tough sledding. I mean, you're probably going to have to, again, try to get this Rams defense moving. I think you want to try to work in the screen game, but like last week, if it's not working, I would not keep going back to that well. I think it's okay to experiment with it. I think it's okay to try to get it to work on a couple plays, keep the defense on their toes, but it just felt like there was too much, oh, yeah, well, it's not working. Let's just keep going to that well. It's like complete opposite of if it ain't broke, don't fix it. You're not supposed to do it if it is broken. You're not supposed to do it. So I think that it might be tough sledding for this offense on Sunday, especially if Lamar Jackson can't play it, that whole situation. I mean, it's the right decision, in my opinion, to hold Lamar out until after the bye week. But, of course, he comes back to a 1-5 football team, and you really got to put your foot on the pedal there to keep it going.
It would be terrible if they fall to 1-5. But again, they're the underdogs in this contest. It's definitely a possibility for them to fall short. And yeah, I put the onus on the offensive line, and they have to get their act together. They need to create rushing lanes for Derrick Henry. Too often we saw Derrick Henry tackled in the backfield. That cannot be the case in this contest. These guys got to put their big boy pants on and get going. Hopefully Vonnie Stanley plays, because Joseph Noboom played terrible as well. We talked about Voorhees struggling. Noboom struggled as well after doing a pretty good job against the Kansas City Chiefs. He kind of relapsed here in this contest. He'll need to step up if he's asked to perform again in this contest. He is, of course, in the injury report currently with the ankle injury, so it'll be very interesting to see what happens. But this offensive line needs to take hold of this game for the first time in a long time. They need to be the reason why they win this football game. But they can get some push up front, give Derrick Henry some running lanes, make this team balanced and not just, as you mentioned, running into a brick wall over and over and over again. Then you can incorporate Keaton Mitchell and actually get something out of it. Maybe get Tyler Huntley in there for a gadget player or two, something. But this offensive line, it starts up front. If they don't get their act together, there's no shot that they win this football game. Let's talk about the other side of it, the Ravens defense, which has played much worse than the Baltimore Ravens offense as of yet. Even though they struggled without Lamar Jackson last week, overall, this Ravens defense has not been good. Even with Madubuike, even with Roquan Smith healthy, even with Kyle Hamilton healthy, this team has continued to struggle, and that's what we talked about Zach Orr potentially being the odd man out if they were to fall in this contest. What is your thought about this Ravens defense, Kevin? Can they get their act together against an offense that has knocked everyone through a loop, with Puka Nacua leading the charge with 50 catches through 5 games?
Yeah. Well, Kyle Hamilton will help if he's back on the field. I think that's where I want to start. If Hamilton is back, I think that opens up a lot. And honestly, when we were previewing the Texans game last week and we were trying to go through a lot of like, okay, how could this look for the Ravens defense? When it was clear that Hamilton probably wasn't going to play, or at least there was a shot he wasn't going to play, my message was, we've seen this defense without Kyle Hamilton before, and it is not like Hamilton. Like Lamar Jackson is the glue that holds together the offense, Kyle Hamilton is the glue that holds together the defense. And, you know, there's a lot that the Ravens can do with Hamilton on the field that there's no one that can replicate him. And you bring in the experienced guys like Gilman and Gardner Johnson, and again, that would help. But this Rams offense right now is whether it be the personnel or even like the stats, the Rams are the 3rd best passing offense in the league and the 12th best rushing offense in the league. So a very balanced attack from them. You mentioned the star power that they have. You mentioned Stafford, who, even when you want to talk about a guy like CJ Stroud, Stafford's a Super Bowl champion. He's been there. He's done that. He will pick apart inexperienced players. And, you know, CJ Stroud picked apart inexperienced players. I'm just in shock. I can see Q's face. I had to stop in my tracks. I'm like, whoa, hold on a second. We got Q. I want to throw the question to Q because we haven't heard his opinion. Q, what do you think about this Ravens defense versus this Rams offense?
I think the Rams offense matching up against this Ravens defense is a mismatch. Matthew Stafford, whether it be Puka Nacua, whether it be Devontae Adams, their running game is just tremendous. They got a good, strong tight end group. Their offensive line, they do a great job of protecting Matthew. And when he does, find that he gets into trouble, he has an ability to get the ball.
Oh.
Can he? Really? Has he?
Oh, Q. No, we might have lost him for real.
I lost him.
Well, I'm glad we got the analysis. I'm glad
we got the analysis. Yeah. So
this frame's doing him a little more justice than the last frame. So
yeah. Let's look at his face a little while longer while we touch on what he said. He's I just saw a comment that's just too hilarious. I have to post it. Gone so soon.
Oh, he's back.
He's back. Yay!
He's back. The technology guys want you to finish your thought. That's why they brought you back.
Man, I was in the midst of breaking it all down. So I'm hoping that you guys can hear me. I don't know if you can or
yes,
we can.
Mother of pearl. I'm just saying, Matthew Stafford. This is a mismatch. Like, he's literally looking at the Texans film, and he's sitting there like just giggling. Like, all we gotta do is just play our game. Like, the Rams, they do such a good job of spreading the ball around. Sean McVay, like, there's so much when it comes to the misdirection that bigger picture wise, this is going to be a huge challenge for this Ravens defense because those young players, we saw it against CJ Stroud, and they don't do nowhere near as much as what McVay's offense does with a veteran quarterback like Matthew Stafford. This is going to be a tough matchup and a mismatch for the Baltimore Ravens defense.
That sucks. I was hoping you wouldn't say that, but I agree with you. It's a mismatch. But hopefully, Harbaugh said we're going to pull no punches. We're going to take every turn, lift every rock to make sure we get this defense right. But you're right. This mismatch is as apparent can be. We only have a few minutes left in the show, so let's get predictions, Q. Based on what you said, what are your thoughts? What's the score prediction for this contest?
Well, so I guess we're still assuming that Lamar Jackson isn't going to be playing. He'll probably wait till the bye week to be out there and play. So, I mean, the thing I thought with Cooper Rush was going to be that he was going to be able to, hey, look, let me get the ball out to Zay Flowers. Oh, look, there's Isaiah Likely. Oh, there's Mark Andrews. Yep. Boom. Turn around, hand it off to Derrick Henry. Oh, yep. Okay. You got Keaton Mitchell up. Okay, great. Ty Monken even tried to, get Keaton Mitchell, and he was somewhat successful in that first drive of implementing him into the offense. It's the offensive line. I just have an issue with the offensive line. If the offensive line can't protect, it doesn't matter. We saw that. We saw how Cooper Rush just wasn't able to get anything going because of the offensive line. Period. End of discussion. With that said, prediction-wise, I just think this is going to be a challenging game, and I just think, unfortunately, the Ravens are going to be staring at 1-5, and I don't even want to give a score. I think it could be another rat kill. I think it could be another scenario where it could be 42-10 Rams. And that's just sacrilegious.
Oh man.
That pains me. But
it pains me.
I know. I mean, I don't disagree where like this could get out of hand because again, I'm not trying to like rag on the Texans because they won their division last year, but like you look at the Rams offense compared to the Texans offense in the skill position, Nico Collins is a beast. But other than that, like, there aren't a lot of guys that you should be scared of on that offense. For the Rams, it's Puka and Devontae Adams and Kyron Williams, and you have other guys. So, if this defense gets Kyle Hamilton back, I think that evens it out. But, I mean, I picked the Ravens to win 28-27 last week, and by the time we were 2 minutes into the second quarter, I'm like, yeah, look at me, I'm dumb. So I think this time around, they haven't shown me. I do it based off of if the Ravens have shown me anything, and if they haven't shown me anything, I try to give them benefit of the doubt. But if I can, I can't. I just can't do that this time. Like, as much as I want to say, hey, they're going to go 2-4, like it's going to happen. We've seen this offense without Lamar Jackson. We've seen this defense without Kyle Hamilton, and the proof is right in front of you. And now that I'm saying this, by the way, they're going to somehow pull it out, and I'm just going to be the reverse jinx. So maybe that's what we'll go with. Maybe I'm going to try to be the reverse jinx, but anything is possible. They can certainly win this game, but if they don't have Lamar Jackson and they don't have Kyle Hamilton, it's going to be an extremely, extremely tough path. So I think if I had to predict, Hamilton probably comes back. I don't know that for a fact, but I mean, it's looking good. He was out there on Wednesday. I still, though, just the offense is going to need to put up points. And if they can't keep up with the Rams, it doesn't matter. Even if the defense has a great game, the Rams are still going to get theirs. And if the Ravens can't get theirs and the offensive line can't, like, 'cause again, I agree. It all starts up front, offensively and defensively. If they can't get push up front offensively, they can't spring Derrick Henry free. They can't give Cooper Rush time. It's going to be rough out there. So I'll say the Rams win this one. Oh man, 29-20 is what I'll go. 29-20.
That is a nice score. I mean, all things considered, I can't believe it.
He must be feeling like Matthew Stafford is doing like a mercy rule or something.
I need him to show me something. Just show me something out there.
They must be looking ahead to the London trip with the Jaguars or something. I don't know.
Man, I see purple rain, so whether that's Sutton or Simply, appreciate you checking in. They said Rams minus 21.5.
Rams minus 20.5. I think that's where I'm at.
On FanDuel, I think the Rams are 7.5.
$7.5.
Yeah, FanDuel is 7.5 right now. So hey, Right? If you feel like the Ravens could have that, Ravens plus 7.5.
Might make some cheddar if you do that.
But I know the popular pick on FanDuel is definitely going to be Rams.
Yeah,
minus
I'm
7.5
picking the Ravens to lose this one big time. I got the Ravens losing 44-10. It's just until they show me, I'm not gonna put my reputation as a predictor on the line and pick them. Hopefully, we come back on Sunday. We're all wearing egg on our face because the Ravens put a master class, maybe a game-winning field goal kick by Tyler Loop, whatever it takes to get the job done.
I would love it.
I will eat crow right here live on air, but they haven't showed me anything to say that anything's going to happen other than another Ravens beatdown until Lamar Jackson comes back, and then hopefully they make a run for it. So, again, I want to thank everybody for joining us here on the Ravens Squad Show. We will be back on Sunday after the Ravens finish their matchup against the LA Rams. Hopefully, they shock the roll. They'll certainly shock us and pick up the victory and then head over to the offseason, head over to the bye 2-4 as we get ready for the Bears in a couple of weeks. So, again, appreciate you guys for joining us here at the Ravens Squad Show, and we will see you on Sunday.